Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Anyone who possessed knowledge about the wall's material would be able to discover that the surface of this city wall was actually covered by a layer of extremely rare black mirror rock. A city wall that was molded from such a material had the unique ability to reflect some attacks. It was quite a good choice to be used as a city wall, even though this thing was quite rare. Yet, this Black Emperor sect was actually able to use it to cover the walls of the city. Such rich foundation caused not only Xiao Yan, but also the little fairy doctor, by his side to sigh in amazement. It is indeed expensive. Xiao Yan turned his gaze to the human crowd where fierce auras repeatedly passed. He let out a sigh from his mouth. He could not help but feel somewhat curious. He had met quite a number of people with great strength during his journey to this place. Moreover, by the looks of their route, it was obvious that they were heading to Black Emperor City. With so many strong people, who possessed fiery, odd tempers, being gathered in such a city, it was likely that the subsequent days in this city would not be calm. Chaos was a peculiar atmosphere that this Black Corner region possessed in great quantities. No matter how strong a faction was, it was impossible to completely stop the formation of this kind of chaos. The people within the Black Corner region ignored any order or rules. The size of one's fist was the most important truth. Xiao Yang laughed out loud as these thoughts flashed in his heart. He did not discriminate against chaos. He knew that as long as one possessed sufficient strength in the Black Corner region, that person would be an exalted individual. Xiao Yang let out a soft cry from his mouth before grabbing Zi Yang, who was looking all over the place, and pulling her to his side. He softly said, "You better be obedient after entering the city. There might be plenty treasures in it, but if you randomly act like you did in the past, you will definitely invite an endless amount of trouble. Do you understand?" Zi Yang could only depressingly acknowledge with an yes, when she saw Xiao Yang's solemn expression. "Let's go." Xiao Yang waved his hand. He pulled Zi Yang, smiled at the little fairy doctor by his side, and took the lead to walk toward the city's entrance. The little fairy doctor nodded slightly when she heard this. Her grayish-purple eyes carelessly swept over the passers-by around, who were repeatedly throwing their gazes over. A wintry expression suddenly appeared in her pupils, causing a feeling of danger to be raised in the hearts of these people. All of them hurriedly withdrew their presumptuous eyes. The little fairy doctor only let out a cold snort, as she sensed the gazes swiftly withdraw. Her exuberance was slowly being withdrawn into her hand. As long as she moved her 5 fingers, this path would immediately become one void of life except for those individuals who were strong. The little fairy doctor only quickened her soft steps and followed Xiao Yang after withdrawing her hand. Although she was no longer cold, indifferent after following beside Xiao Yang during this period of time, that was only on the precondition that she was facing Xiao Yang and his friends. If it was an ordinary passerby, the little fairy doctor would have total disregard for their lives. It was fine for her to take them. If one killed too many, one would naturally feel numb to the loss of human lives. The numbers who had died in the little fairy doctor's hands during these years had likely reached a figure that was difficult to count. It was already extremely difficult for her to suppress that cold and indifferent feeling in front of Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang's group walked down the slope and traveled for some distance before the enormous city gates appeared in front of Xiao Yang's eyes. A long human queue was formed outside of the city gates. A nosiness spread from this place, causing one's ear to feel a slight pain. The little fairy doctor's eyebrows bunched together as she looked at the many men gathered together. They had naked upper bodies that revealed their scars all over. Being in possession of a slight obsession for cleanliness, she did not like such a situation. Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes and swept over the entrance of the city almost like he was aware of the little fairy doctor's concern. "Hey, this woman is really juicy. It has been a long time since I have seen such excellent stuff. That little girl is not bad too. That small face is really likable. Hi Z, you have such a body yet you like little girls. The young lady from the last time died because of you. How unlucky." A lewd ear-piercing laughter was suddenly transmitted over as Xiao Yang's eyes swept over the situation at the city's entrance. Xiao Yang slowly withdrew his gaze from the city's entrance. His eyes were calm as he followed the voice and glanced over, only to see 10+ burly-looking men gathered together. Those lewd gazes repeatedly swept over the little fairy doctor and Xiao Yan. The surrounding queuing people involuntarily emitted laughs riddled with deeper meaning when they heard the lewd laughs of this group. Being able to see such beautiful women, who were pleasant to the eyes, having their liberties taken during this harsh wait would be considered a good way to pass their time. The little fairy doctor's expression did not change because of this. Her delicate hand grabbed Xiao Yan, who displayed a furious expression on her small face as her eyes looked toward Xiao Yan. Let's go. The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth was lifted into a strange smile. However, he did not go and fight with these burly-looking men as everyone had expected. Instead, he turned his head and smiled to the little fairy doctor before pulling Xiao Yan to walk to the city's entrance. This action of Xiao Yan immediately aroused some disdainful booing from the surroundings. The Black Corner region looked up to the strong. A person who acted like nothing had happened after his women were being humiliated was something that others saw as extremely shameful. Ha ha. The 10+ large men were initially startled when they saw Xiao Yan's actions. They began to wildly laugh. However, the bodies of these 10+ people strangely solidified, just as their laughter sounded. Immediately, bang. Bang. A low, deep explosion sound suddenly appeared. Immediately the nosiness in this place ceased. Everyone's eyes were stunned as they took in the sight of where the large men used to be. Clusters of black soot appeared with no explanation. A moment later, the surrounding circle immediately pulled back, as though they had seen a ghost. Quite a number of people recovered soon after and their shocked gazes swept toward the back of Xiao Yan's group, while they walked toward the city's gate. Waves of chills rose within their hearts as they recalled the strange scene from earlier. They no longer dared to emit even the slightest sound, afraid that the unusual scene from earlier would happen to their bodies. This strange situation swiftly spread along this human chain. Numerous gazes of astonishment quickly glanced at Xiao Yan, who was slowly walking toward the city gate. Everyone hurriedly took a couple of steps back wherever he passed. Xiao Yan's group ignored the surrounding shocked gazes as they walked toward the city gate. He immediately headed for a purple door at the entrance. There were over a dozen large men in a pale yellow armor standing extremely straight there. The powerful auras that were emitted from their bodies caused the people queuing by the side to be afraid to approach. They could only depressingly wait for the human flow by the side to slowly advance. The direction in which Xiao Yan's three-man group was headed was clearly this purple door. Seeing this action of his, the surrounding gazes immediately revealed surprise. That large door was something that the Black Emperor sect had reserved for the experts from the Black Corner region to use. One could forget about entering from this door without the strength of a Do Huang. Could this young man, who appeared around 20-odd years old, be such an expert? Xiao Yan's three-man group stopped in front of the purple door, while being observed by the surrounding gazes. The 10+ fully armed men suddenly shot their sharp eyes over. The laugh of an old man was immediately transmitted from behind. These friends, this entrance is specially arranged for an expert Do Huang to enter. Please turn around if you has not reached this mark. A yellow-robed, old man, who was holding a tobacco stem in his hand, slowly walked out. His narrowed eyes weighed Xiao Yan's three-man group before he laughed out loud. How can you identify whether the person who arrives is an expert Do Huang given your strength that has not even reached a 5-star Do Huang? Xiao Yan glanced at the old man before speaking with a smile. The eyes of the yellow-robed old man coagulated slightly. A messenger hurriedly ran over before softly saying something in his ear. Upon hearing the report of this messenger, the former's eyes swept over Xiao Yan's body with a stunned expression. A moment later, he waved his hand and dismissed the messenger. He politely said with a smile, "This Mr. May I know your name? Which faction are you related to?" "Yang Xiao, a free person." Xiao Yan faintly replied, "Mr. Yang Xiao, I think that you have also come to the Black Emperor city, because of the auction, right?" The eyes of the yellow-robed old man flickered slightly as he laughed after hearing Xiao Yan mention his name. "Yes." Xiao Yan randomly nodded. He immediately frowned and asked, "May I enter?" "Yes, sir." That messenger respectfully replied before quickly turning around to leave. That yellow-robed old man's tobacco stem gently patted his arm as he narrowed his eyes. His mouth muttered to himself, "Yang Xiao. The interior of the Black Corner region does not seem to possess a young expert Do Huang of this name. Hey, this fellow is quite mysterious. I'll let the Kuei Wolfgang test the waters first. Xiao Yan walked out of the somewhat dark tunnel. The glaring sunlight shone down from the sky. The sound of bustling noise was a demon tune as it poured into his ears, causing Xiao Yang to frown. Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes as he slowly lifted his head. He looked at the enormous inner part of the city, and the crowded human traffic that moved along the spacious roads in front of him. He could not help but let out a praising sigh. The size of this Black Emperor city was not smaller than the capital of the Jioma Empire. From a certain point of view, even the Jioma Empire's capital could not compare with it. After all, the things that this place had were things that the capital did not. Where should we go next? The little fairy doctor's eyes shifted around as she softly asked. Xiao Yang mused slightly before he immediately said, "We will first go to the larger medicinal shops in the city and take a look around." The interior of the Black Corner region possesses quite a number of rare medicinal ingredients the outside world lacks. If we are lucky enough, we might be able to obtain some of the medicinal ingredients that we need. Moreover, we have to inquire about information related to the Bodhisattva body transformation saliva. That thing. Even I don't have sufficient knowledge of that thing. Therefore, we can only go and inquire. Yes. The little fairy doctor nodded slightly and did not voice an objection. That's right, you can just attack the next time we meet that kind of person. This kind of situation is extremely common in the Black Corner region. No one will fault you. Xiao Yang slowly walked toward a spacious street as randomly explained. The little fairy doctor was slightly startled. A moving smile immediately surfaced on the little fairy doctor's face. She nodded her head, pulled Zi Yang's hand and immediately followed him. The three of them slowly walked through the interior of this enormous Black Emperor city. After this personal appearance, they finally clearly understood just how many people had come to the Black Emperor city for this large-scale auction. The medicinal shop was called Thousand Medicinal House. Its size was extremely big, and could be considered the largest shop that Xiao Yang's group had seen ever since they had entered the city. Moreover, this shop appeared to have quite a great reputation within the Black Emperor city. Hence, the human traffic coming to and from the big entrance seemed to be squeezed together. Noisy curses were repeatedly transmitted over. Xiao Yang stood outside of the Thousand Medicinal House. He hesitated for a moment before leading the little fairy doctor and Zi Yang to squeeze into the human flow. The powerful Do Qi within his body emitted a force that seemed to quietly push aside those people blocking his way gently, as though he was splitting the flow of a river. After which, the three of them swaggered into this Thousand Medicinal shop. The noisy curses were greatly reduced after they entered the Thousand Medicinal House. A rich medicinal fragrance that was mixed from a countless number of medicinal ingredients pounced over. The richness of the medicinal fragrance nearly caused Xiao Yang to violently sneeze. Xiao Yang rubbed his nose as he allowed his gaze to roam. He could see that this incomparably large hall was filled with many transparent counters. Various medicinal ingredients were neatly placed within those counters. Moreover, quite a number of people were currently gathered around these counters. However, an alchemist like Xiao Yang placed a greater value on medicinal ingredients. After all, as long as the medicinal ingredients were in his hand, he would naturally be able to refine the medicinal ingredients. Xiao Yang pulled Zi Yang along while she was deeply inhaling through her little nose. The three of them slowly walked toward a crystal counter. His gaze immediately swept over it. Green wind grass. Wind fire scale fruit. Xiao Yang's gaze swept over the medicinal ingredients displayed on the counter and identified them immediately. He immediately shook his head. The things here might not be ordinary things, but it was far from the tier of the medicinal ingredients he needed. There is indeed a reason why Black Corner region is able to attract quite a number of people from the outside over. If it was outside, just these medicinal ingredients alone would definitely be treated as a great treasure of the shop. How could they be randomly displayed and sold in a similar place? The little fairy doctor softly sighed. Being a poison master, she was naturally quite familiar with these medicinal ingredients. Xiao Yang smiled and nodded. He was about to speak when a laugh was transmitted from the other side of the counter. Guests, may I know what kind of medicinal ingredients you need? Our Thousand Medicinal House is a large medicinal shop that is ranked among the top within the Black Corner region. I think that this place should possess the things that you want to buy. Xiao Yan raised his head and glanced at an old man, who had appeared behind the counter. From the looks of the other party's clothes, it was obvious that he should be someone from the medicinal shop. Xiao Yan did not say any nonsense. He took out a white sheet of paper from his storage ring. The couple of important medicinal ingredients to refine the Heaven Soul Blood Bone pill were written on it. The old man received the white paper with both hands. Initially, his gaze randomly swept over it, but he immediately became startled. His eyes once again weighed Xiao Yan. A glint appeared in his eyes as he inquired, "Is Mr. an alchemist?" "Why? Don't tell me that an alchemist cannot come and buy the medicinal ingredients in this medicinal shop." Xiao Yan replied with a faint voice, "Mister, please do not take offense. The old me is a tier 2 alchemist. It is just that I feel familiar with the way these medicinal ingredients are arranged." The old man laughed. "Mister, do you really need these 3 medicinal ingredients?" The old man nodded with a smile as he ordered a female servant to get the medicinal ingredients. After which, he turned to Xiao Yan and asked a question, "You have a solution?" Xiao Yan raised his brows when he heard this. His voice was somewhat surprised. "I only said that these 3 medicinal ingredients are very rare, but I did not say that our 1000 medicinal house does not have them. However, a rare medicinal ingredient of such a tier will usually not be taken out to be sold." The old man laughed. "Since you have already opened your mouth, I don't think it is merely to tell me this, no." Xiao Yang gently rubbed his storage ring, as he replied in a calm voice, "Mister is really a forthright person. I shall tell you this directly. If you want to obtain these 3 medicinal ingredients, you must go to the second story of this 1000 medicinal house. The value of the medicinal ingredients there is more expensive than the ones on the first floor. However, you cannot use gold coins to purchase the medicinal ingredients at that place. Instead, you must refine a medicinal pill that is of similar value to these medicinal ingredients as per the requirement. Only then can you take the ingredient away." The old man softly laughed. "In other words, only an alchemist has the qualification to enter." Xiao Yang's eyelids did not even move when he heard this. He faintly said, "Lead the way." An unusual glint flashed across the eyes of the old man when he saw Xiao Yang's manner. A respectful expression immediately surged onto his face, before he led the way in front while bending his body humbly. "Let's go. Let's take a look at the second story to see if there is anything you require." Xiao Yang turned his head and smiled to the little fairy doctor and Zi Yang. After which, he lifted his feet and followed the old man. Xiao Yang actually possessed a lot of curiosity toward the unusual and rare medicinal ingredients that the old man had mentioned. After all, medicinal ingredients possessed a greater attraction to alchemists than medicinal pills did. The second story of the 1000 medicinal house was not as luxurious as Xiao Yang had imagined. The somewhat ancient decorations caused it to possess a great atmosphere that would never be out of fashion. From this, it can be seen that the owner of the 1000 medicinal house was someone who had some taste. At this moment, some crystal counters were positioned in the hall of the second story. Some jade boxes were placed in these crystal counters. A faint glow could be vaguely seen from the jade boxes. At a glance, one could tell that they were not ordinary things. There were quite a number of human figures scattered throughout the large hall. Looking at their clothing, they were mostly alchemists. It seemed that they were thinking of exchanging for some rare medicinal ingredients in this second story. Xiao Yang's 3-man group attracted quite a number of gazes when they came up. However, when they saw that the former was not wearing an alchemist's robe, they slowly withdrew their gazes. If the person himself did not show his skill, another alchemist would have difficulty identifying the exact ability of that person. Hence, someone like Xiao Yang, who did not wear an alchemist robe, would have difficulty attracting the attention of others. Instead, more of those gazes paused on the little fairy doctor, who was behind Xiao Yang. "Mister, please feel free to look around. I will go and look for the person in charge." The old man, who had followed them up, respectfully spoke to Xiao Yang before bowing and leaving. Xiao Yang vaguely nodded. He led the little fairy doctor and Zi Yang down the large hall. After which, they arrived at those crystal counter. Their gazes swept over them and some surprise surged into their eyes. Green rockwood. Blood ganoderma. Cultured marrow root, seeing these rare medicinal ingredients, that would arouse the envy of many alchemists if placed in the outside world, displayed together in this place, Xiao Yan could not help but let out a praise despite his experience. It seemed that he did not come to this second story for nothing. This Black Corner region is indeed extraordinary. Amazement also surfaced on the face of the little fairy doctor by the side as she softly spoke. Zi Yang's small face was bending over the crystal counter. Her large gem-like eyes stared at the medicinal ingredients within without blinking. Her coveting looks seemed as though her jaw was about to fall off. Zi Yang naturally ignored this explanation that Xiao Yang had gave many times before. The gaze in those large eyes became more resentful. The little fairy doctor involuntarily smiled when she observed these two people. They were fighting because of medicinal ingredients. Her warm moving smile attracted quite a number of gazes within the large hall. The way the current little fairy doctor was dressed was similar to the her in Qingshan town back then. Her white clothes caused some ethereal feeling to be added to her extraordinary demeanor. However, it might be because this demeanor was far too intoxicating to other people, but it was likely that no one could imagine that this woman, who seemed warm and moving, would immediately turn from a fairy to a death god that sought lives. Should she become angry, Mister? Are you planning to exchange for medicinal ingredients? A soft woman's voice that carried an unusual charm sounded behind Xiao Yang, while he and Zi Yang were arguing over the ownership of the medicinal ingredients. Xiao Yang turned his head when he heard her voice only to see a woman wearing a red-colored palace robe standing beautifully behind him. That white-haired, old man suddenly opened his eyes after appearing to sense Xiao Yang's gaze. The eyes of both him and Xiao Yang met. For some unknown reason, the white-haired, old man faintly sensed an unusually hot aura from those seemingly bottomless dark black eyes. He could not help but immediately let out a surprised "Ha. What is it? Old Yang?" That woman in a palace gown was startled when she heard the surprised "Ha" from the white-haired, old man. She uncertainly asked, "Nothing." The eyes of the white-haired, old man, who was called Old Yang, flickered, before he immediately shook his head. Although Old Yang did not say anything, the palace-robed woman seemed to have sensed something. Her pretty eyes slid to Xiao Yang while containing a deep thought. The smile on her face became even more moving. "Owner Yao can call me Yang Xiao." Xiao Yang faintly smiled. However, caution rose in his heart. This woman possessed an unusual allure when she spoke. If one did not have a great mental fortitude, it was likely that one's heart would be unknowingly influenced by her. If this occurred when one was discussing a price or condition, it was likely that he would be eaten by the other party until even his bones were gone. It seemed that this woman did not only rely on her outstanding appearance in order to become the owner of such a large 1,000 medicinal house as a woman. "All the alchemists in the hall have come to my 1,000 medicinal house because of these rare medicinal ingredients. These precious medicinal ingredients are not commonly found. My 1,000 medicinal house has bitterly searched for them for a period of time in order to obtain." Owner Yao smiled as she said, "Each time we find the medicinal ingredients, there would be quite a number of alchemists who would come and exchange for them. Today is coincidentally the day that my 1,000 medicinal house is exchanging for medicinal pills. Mr. Yang Xiao has really come at the right time. In this way, won't I have to compete with the other alchemist for the medicinal ingredients?" Xiao Yang knit his brows and inquired after hearing this. This is also a kind of auction. The one who offers the highest price will obtain the thing he wants. However, this place of ours does not want gold coins. Instead, we will see if the people bidding are able to refine a medicinal pill that satisfies us. Of course. Normally speaking, unless both parties urgently require such a medicinal ingredient, there would still be people withdrawing from the big. Owner Yao smiled. She immediately turned to the white-haired, old man beside her and said, "Old Yang, it is almost time. Let's start the pill exchange gathering." "Yes." The white-haired, old man slightly nodded. He immediately walked toward a tall stage in the hall. He raised his hand once there and knocked it against the bronze bell by the side. A clear ringing resounded throughout the hall. "Bring the medicine." The white-haired, old man commanded. Over 10 pretty female servants immediately brought forth silver plates in a respectful manner. Tightly shut jade boxes were neatly arranged on the silver plates. "In that case, let our pill exchange gathering begin. The old rules apply. The first will be those with the lowest quality, while the high-quality ones will be left for last. Owner Yao laughed and waved her hand. Her index finger pointed at the medicinal ingredients on the rock platform. Owner Yao, why is it that this pill exchange gathering does not wait for me? Don't tell me you are afraid I cannot afford it. A thunder-like laugh was suddenly transmitted from the stairs while everyone was browsing the medicinal ingredients. The sudden arrival of the laughter caused the fieriness in the hall to become a lot more quiet. Numerous surprised gazes slipped toward the stairs. Heavy footsteps gradually approached. A moment later, a red-faced, old man wearing a pale yellow robe appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes as he looked at this red-faced, old man. Surprise flashed across his face. This old man was actually an alchemist. Moreover, it was likely that his ability was a little stronger than the white-haired, old man from earlier. It is indeed worthy of being the Black Corner region. Within a day, 2 alchemists of such tier have appeared. It looks like I really did not come here for nothing today. The appearance of this red-faced elder caused the voices of the many alchemists in the hall to become much softer. Some of those whose abilities were a little stronger displayed somewhat unnatural expressions. Owner Yao on the stage was slightly startled. A warm smile was immediately pushed onto her face, as she hurriedly descended the stage and headed to the red-faced elder. Her mouth laughed in a loving manner. Old Qi is honoring us with his presence. This time around, the Black Emperor City is holding a large-scale auction, and I thought that Old Qi will not have the spare time to come. What is Owner Yao saying? The quality of the medicinal ingredients in the 1000 Medicinal House is extraordinary. Even the old me cannot help but feel interested. Moreover, this pill exchange gathering is not frequently held. Therefore, the old me will definitely come over and take a look regardless of how busy I am. The old man, who was addressed as Old Qi, laughed out loud. His voice was extremely clear. When he laughed loudly, quite a number of people within the hall knit their brows. However, due to the former's position and background within the Black Emperor City, no one dared to voice their thoughts. Kirshen is extremely happy that Old Qi is able to come visit this store. Fortunately, this pill exchange gathering has yet to formally start. Old Qi, please take a sit. Owner Yao smiled as she spoke. She immediately inclined her body and made a respectfully inviting stance. This red-faced elder had quite the powerful background. He was the top alchemist within the Black Emperor sect. It was rumored that he had reached the 6th tier not long ago. He could be considered to be the person who had the greatest medicinal refining ability within the Black Emperor City. Moreover, by relying on the strength of the Black Emperor sect, he could be considered an important person whose words mattered greatly to everyone in the Black Emperor City. An ordinary person naturally did not dare to bid against him. In this way, it was undoubtedly not something good from the 1000 Medicinal House point of view. After all, they required both parties to bid against each other in order to maximize their profits. The actions of the former undoubtedly broke the rules. Although Owner Yao felt dissatisfaction, she did not dare to say too much, because of the influence of the red-faced elder within the Black Emperor City. Therefore, she did not feel much joy for this big fellow who had come uninvited. This old fellow has sharp eyes. I wonder what medicinal ingredient he will take away this time around. Owner Yao's hand involuntarily tightened under her sleeves. These medicinal ingredients were obtained after their 1000 Medicinal House had risked the lives of quite a number of medicinal harvesters. That price was quite great. Owner Yao shook her head slightly as these thoughts flashed across her heart. She suppressed the emotions in her heart before swiftly walking back to the tall stage. A smile once again surged onto her face as she began to host this pill exchange gathering. Xiao Yan's group sat at a spot toward the back. The medicinal ingredients that had appeared earlier were not those that he needed, and his gaze had paused on the red-faced elder most of the time. From the expressions of the surrounding alchemists, when this old man appeared earlier, it seemed that he possessed quite a high position within the Black Emperor City. Another thing was that this person did not seem likable. However, many people did not dare to voice their anger due to some reason. By relying on his outstanding spiritual perception, Xiao Yan could sense that this red-faced elder's alchemist tier was likely a little higher than Yang Alliance's Fa Ma. However, when compared to Ji Yu he would likely appear a little weaker. He could be considered a genuine alchemist grandmaster, that would be greatly sought after by many competing factions within the Black Corner region. The so-called pill exchange gathering had formally begun while these thoughts lingered in Xiao Yang's heart. Some of the alchemists' gazes swept over the medicinal ingredients on display. Should they discover anything suitable, they would step forward. However, in order to take the medicinal ingredients they were interested in, they would need to pay with a medicinal pill that was of similar value to the medicinal ingredient. Following the slow flow of time, these lower quality medicinal ingredients were gradually selected and taken away. After which, more medicinal ingredients continued to appear. Their quality became better and better. Those somewhat stronger alchemists, who were originally sitting in their seats without moving, finally began to show interest. They started to move forward to negotiate the exchange of items. The medicinal ingredients on the rock platform diminished as time passed. However, from the dense medicinal fragrances that were seeped from these jade boxes, one could tell that the medicinal ingredients were of a high quality. Some of those even caused the red-faced elder to be moved. However, he did not do anything. From the looks of it, he seemed to have come prepared this time around. When the medicinal ingredients on the rock platform were reduced to less than 10 boxes, there were only a few people left still sitting in their seats without moving. This included Xiao Yang and that red-faced elder. The red-faced elder was startled when he saw that Xiao Yang's group did not move. He immediately frowned and glanced at Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang turned his head slightly when he sensed that gaze being shot over. Their eyes made contact. A moment later, Xiao Yang turned away as though nothing had happened. His face did not even reveal the slightest fear that the other alchemists displayed when they looked at the red-faced elder. This calm attitude of Xiao Yang caused the red-faced old man to be startled. His heart gained some fury. With his current ability and reputation, it had been a long time since he had tasted the feeling of being ignored by another. The alchemists who had obtained the medicinal ingredients that they needed did not leave the hall. Instead, they glanced at Xiao Yang and the red-faced elder, who were still seated in their seats with interested gazes. Normally speaking, the last part of this kind of pill exchange gathering was the true high point. Xiao Yang's gaze was currently staring intently at 3 jade boxes on the stage. Within his eyesight, he was naturally able to see that the interior of these 3 jade boxes were the targets of his trip. They were the last 3 medicinal ingredients needed to refine the Heaven Soul Blood Bone pill. Xiao Yang inhaled a deep breath of air and stood up under the gaze of everyone in the hall. Finally, he strode over to the rock platform. The gazes in the hall immediately gathered on Xiao Yang after seeing this action of his. The quality of these few medicinal ingredients were extremely high. If one wanted to exchange for them, it was likely that one must take out a Tier 4 or Tier 5 medicinal pill. Could this fellow, who seemed extremely young, take out a medicinal pill of such tier? Xiao Yang stopped in front of the rock platform, in front of the many gazes. He smiled toward the slim and attractive owner Yao before slowly pulling 3 jade boxes in front of him. He said, "Owner Yao, please tell me just what kind of medicinal pill I need to create in order to exchange for these 3 medicinal ingredients." Owner Yao smiled sweetly when she heard this. She nodded and was just about to speak when her face slightly changed. A large hand was suddenly extended toward Xiao Yang while her face was changing. It rudely pressed against one of the 3 jade boxes. His loud voice resounded over the hall, "This jade bone fruit. I want it." Xiao Yang's gaze calmly observed the large hand placed on the box of the jade bone fruit. He quietly sighed in his heart. It really ended up in this manner. Ever since these 5 jade boxes were taken out, Xiao Yang had a feeling that it was likely that his attempt to exchange for the medicinal ingredients would not be as smooth as he had thought. In the end, his thoughts had really come true. Xiao Yang vaguely turned his head. He looked at the large red-faced man who stood behind him, and faintly knit his brows. "Old Chi, this mister is the first to bid. Isn't this act of yours not quite following the rules?" Owner Yao's heart sank when she saw the red-faced elder extend his hand. However, she forcefully smiled as she spoke. "What is Owner Yao saying? This place originally gets one to bid. The highest bid will take the item. Why does it matter who is first?" The large red-faced man spoke with displeasure when he heard this. Owner Yao could only bitterly smile and nod her head when she heard him say this. Her heart quietly cursed. It is naturally not a problem if you really bid a high price to exchange for such an item. However, you're a shameless old man who always use some underhanded tactics. Qishan's expression clearly stiffened slightly within the hall that had become quiet. A gloomy look immediately surged in his eyes. His gaze slowly turned towards Xiao Yan, gave a superficial smile and said, "The young people these days are really extremely bold and reckless." Xiao Yang ignored the ridicule in Qishan's words. He turned his head towards Ona Yao and laughed. "Please take a look at these 3 medicinal ingredients, and let me know what kind of medicinal pills I need to exchange for them." Ona Yao gradually recovered from her shock. She hesitated for a moment upon hearing Xiao Yang's words. She whispered, "Mister, do you really plan to do this? Offending a tier 6 alchemist, who is the top alchemist of the Black Emperor sect for a jade bone fruit, is not worth it." Although Ona Yao's words were a reminder to Xiao Yang, they were also informing Xiao Yang about Qishan's identity without making it obvious. Xiao Yang smiled slightly in the face of her good intention. He spoke in a non-committal manner, "This jade bone fruit is also very important to me. I will not give it to anyone today. Therefore, Ona Yao, please tell me what item is needed to exchange for it." A tier 5 medicinal pill. Xiao Yang mused slightly when he heard this. He quietly calculated and found it was not considered extremely expensive. The medicinal pills that were refined from these 3 medicinal ingredients were about the 6th tier or higher. Hence, their value was not inferior to a tier 5 medicinal pill. Trying to learn from others to exchange medicinal ingredients when you don't have any ability. Qishan immediately let out a cold laugh when he saw Xiao Yang deep in thought. He immediately turned his eyes to Ona Yao and said faintly, "I recall that one can place a competing bid in this pill exchange gathering, right? If this brat is unable to take out a tier 5 medicinal pill, this old me will exchange for them." Ona Yao and the surrounding people revealed shocked faces when they heard that Qishan was actually willing to use a tier 5 medicinal pill to exchange for them. This old fellow was actually this generous today. In the pill exchange gathering, the medicinal ingredients will end up with the one who bids the highest price. Ona Yao hesitated for a moment and glanced at Xiao Yang as she replied, "This is a wind-walking pill, which is a tier 5 medicinal pill. After consuming it, one's speed will soar for a short period of time. It can definitely preserve one's life if one is being chased." Qishan coldly laughed. He immediately took out a jade bottle, placed it on the table as he spoke. Ona Yao was slightly startled. She carefully received the jade bottle and handed it to that white-haired, old man beside her. Qishan's eyes turned slightly cold. His eyes were slowly raised. They met with a pair of dark black pupils. His voice slowly became impatient and cold. "Rat, you should always step back when things are looking good. It is best that you know how to keep a low profile when doing things in the Black Corner region. Otherwise, it will not benefit you." Xiao Yang smiled when he heard this. He said, "Thank you for your reminder. However, I have also said that I will not give up these medicinal ingredients today." Xiao Yang's hand moved after his voice sounded. A jade bottle was taken out before being placed on the table. He softly said, "Doe spirit pill, a tier 5 medicinal pill. I think that everyone here knows of its effects, so I shall not say anything more regarding this." Not many people were bothered about Qishan's furious cry. The white-haired, old man who was called Old Yang was the first to pick up the jade bottle. After which, he carefully poured out a round, jade-green medicinal pill from within. Surprise gradually surged into Old Yang's eyes as his gaze cautiously swept over this medicinal pill. A moment later, that surprise turned into a solemnness. "Old Yang, how is it? Is there any problems with the medicinal pill?" Ona Yao carefully inquired. Her heart immediately pounded hard when she saw Old Yang's manner of studying it. "No." Old Yang gently inhaled a breath of cold air. There was a rare heat in his tone. "It is indeed a doe spirit pill." The uproar within the hall became even fiercer when they heard this. The face of Qishan began to alternate between green and white. He did not expect this young brat, who appeared to be only 20-odd years old, to actually be able to take out a medicinal pill of such a tier. Moreover, the high quality of this doe spirit pill is something the old me has seen for the first time after so many years. This luster, this pill fragrance, based on my experience, even some tier 6 alchemist, who do not have the help of a special flame, would definitely be unable to refine a medicinal pill with such a luster. The words of old Yang that followed caused quite a number of people in the entire hall to gently inhale a breath of cold air. Everyone present, including Xiao, was clearly aware of the eyesight of the 1,000 medicinal houses old Yang. Even someone like him, a person who was extremely picky about medicinal pills, ended up giving this dose spirit pill such a high evaluation. Its quality looks like it had reached quite a frightening level. Everyone in the hall inhaled a breath of cold air. The shock in the gazes they used to look at Xiao Yan grew more dense. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.